Hey everyone, it's Ruben, your favorite lymphoma survivor. And if you go to the YouTube search and look up cancer, there's going to be a lot of videos where people talk about what it's like to have cancer. And one thing I think that really isn't touched on is what it does to your brain, specifically how we cope as survivors of a disease as terrible as cancer. My oncologist said I likely have what's basically medical PTSD. So when I meet someone new and they want to hear my story, uh, I tell people because there's nothing I have to hide about being sick, but it triggers a lot of emotions in me. And for example, I went and met my new primary care physician, and she wanted me to explain what I'd been through, and it made me cry. And even getting my PT scan a couple weeks ago, when I get in the tube and it starts going around, it jogs up a lot of emotions from when things were pretty bad. And even though I don't like to cry or necessarily want to cry, it happened. And I think as more time passes since I finished chemotherapy and kind of started putting my life back together, it will get better. But my oncologist recommended that I find a therapist or some kind of psychiatrist that specializes in PTSD or traumatic events, because now that my body is healed, my brain is trying to heal and my emotions are trying to heal. And so if you've been through cancer, you may relate to this, but it is real. When you hear the word PTSD, you typically think of someone that's in combat or like an active war zone where their life is on the line. And when I laid on my couch for 6 months, my life was on the line, just in a different way. And honestly, that's not something I could have planned for coming out of chemotherapy. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'm still pretty emotional about it. And sometimes when I'm alone and not particularly busy, I think about everything I went through, and I do cry a little bit. And even Sheena wanted a fancy dinner to celebrate for Christmas, and so I took her out for a fancy steak dinner, and the waiter asked if we were celebrating anything, and she's like, oh, he had cancer and had a clear PT scan last week. And so I was so choked up I couldn't even explain what we were celebrating, so I let her take the reins on that. But PTSD is real, not just from like a wartime or combat scenario. It's trauma can come in many forms. So I spoke with a therapist over the summer, and I may reach out to him again and continue to talk to him to help me heal. It's not something I've actively engaged in recently, but maybe time for me to work on that in addition to just working on my body. But I hope if you're watching this that you're doing okay, and I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. And if you feel bad, go to the doctor so you don't have to go through what I went through. Later.